can almost slow it down and see a picture. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to the basement shop. This is going to be part 2 of the 1950 Zenith 12-inch porthole. I'm going to see if I can do some resistance test on this transformer. I think I can make out where each terminal goes and at least do some resistance readings. I have no idea what the resistance should be, but obviously if something's shorted or completely open, we know that it's bad. So let's see what we can find out. I guess the easiest test I can make, go from the cap of the 1B3. It goes through this winding to the cap with the horizontal out. Test leads on my meter. Let me get hooked up here. Well, we're checking 367 ohms. Again, that's from here to here through that winding. Now we should be able to check from here down to, that's a fuse, the cathode fuse. So let's check it right from here to there. Okay, 446. So that means if that's correct, then we should have a reading from the fuse back to the cap of the output tube. So let me try that. $77 ohms. Is that correct? I don't know. Don't have anything to go by other than just a schematic with the windings drawn. But we are reading resistance on the primary, so that's good. For the secondary, this is just a filament winding, and I'm sure it's okay. That's them two thick wires right there. So let's check from pin 5 of the damper, the plate. And we'll go back down to the, it looks like red on the transformer. Okay, there's a red, and there's a cap going to it, which would be this cap right here. So there's a red wire. Let's see what kind of resistance we have there. 6.4, 6.5 ohms. I think that says white red right there. So let's check it. We check from the white red to the red, should be very little resistance. Yeah, 0.5. So those resistance checks are encouraging. We have resistance from on the primary, and we have resistance on this secondary winding and the filament winding, and no shorts. So hopefully this transformer is okay. We removed the 2 rectifier tubes, the 5Y3 and the 5U4, and we have correct voltage there on the coming out of the transformer. So now we can proceed knowing that the power transformer is okay. Well, I think next I'm going to address these filter caps, the electrolytics. Pretty confident this one's bad because it is leaked out. I'm going to check all 3, and I could get my solar cap tester out, but I'm just going to use my meter. It has a cap reading on it. Now it doesn't put a lot of voltage to it, I know that, but it'll at least tell us if the cap is reading some capacitance, or if it's open, or if it's shorted. Of course, I can tell that with the ohm meter. So let's see what we have there. Pretty sure this center one goes to the main sources here back in the power supply. So I'm going to bridge 3 in here. I looked at the top of it to see the values, and there's a 20, a 20, and a 80. I think it's actually 15, 15, 80, but I have 20s. So let's bridge those 3 in. See if the power supply works. 2 20s and an 80. The fourth section, it's like a 50 volts, so I'm not worried about it right now. But these 3 main ones here, they're power supply caps. So see if we get any DC voltage out of the rectifier tubes. And if we do, I may go ahead and do a full power up with everything connected. I'm going to put the power right on 60 volts to start with. I have cord pigtailed in. I have the power switch on. So let's see what we get. We're going to go up to about 60 volts. Right there. And drawing about 3/4 of an amp of current. So that's good. And hey, we've got B+. Over 200 volts. I'm still waiting on that Zenith schematic or Zenith service manual, but just looking at this schematic that's hard to read, I'm connected right here, which is the main B+ coming out of this rectifier, the 5U4. That's a really good sign. I don't smell anything getting hot or see anything burning, so another good sign. Run the power right on up. Go about 90 volts. 275. So I'm going to put the cap on the horizontal output tube. I have all the tubes in, but I have it uncapped, so it's not doing anything. Have my test CRT in. It's a little 5-inch. Now, yeah, the focus magnet will affect it, but we can at least see if we got any kind of a display on the screen. Okay, everything else is good to go. That clip for the high voltage, I just have it just clipped in that little button on the test CRT. Good enough as long as it stays in there. All right, current went up about an amp, and we're on 90 volts. There's 90. We'll leave it there for now. And we've got plenty of B+. Hey, we have some high voltage. Got about 5,000. And we have some brightness. Definitely out of focus with that focus magnet on that neck of that CRT. Wow, what a good start. That kind of eases my concerns about that transformer. We'll go 105 volts. Yeah, we're about 6,000 now. Hey, that's 110 volts or so. And we're about 7,000 volts. I'm thinking 8,000 or so, 8 or 9. We are darn close to what it should be. So a really good start on this restoration. I think this transformer is okay. Not getting hot, just a little warm, so good news. While I'm waiting on that Zenith service manual before I start the full restore on this, a couple of things I can do. First one is this speaker wire. And that's nothing but, looks to me like AC zip cord. It loops around, connects here to the two transformer terminals. And we just need to put these two terminals on the end of the new wire. All right, here's some new AC zip cord. Connected on the transformer end, and two connectors on the other end. And here's another thing we can take care of. AC cord receptacle. This is what's left of the back. And just cut those rivets off, put a new cord in, and then we'll somehow make this fasten to the back. Got a screw missing there too. And an AC interlock with the new cord. Prepared to fine tuning. And I used something different than dial cord. Used a couple of belts. Just stretched them. This linkage comes loose. You can loosen these two set screws, slide this out, and you can get the belts on there. One probably would have been enough, but I just put two side by side, and that gets plenty of tension and working fine. And I'm going to put a fresh coat of paint on this power transformer. Took the 4 screws out that hold it in and just propped it up above the chassis where it won't get paint down on the chassis. Well, this came in a mailbox today. So hopefully this will help me in the restore. Pretty confident that we have the 23G24. So let's open this up and see. Not many pages, but hopefully enough to help. The first thing I noticed, the 23G2327 is not listed as a model, but both of these are the 12-inch sets with the same chassis. So, and this is interesting. It says the 23G4 and 24G26 are similar to the 23G22 and 24G24 in manual TV5. The earlier receivers used a series filament circuit. The AC line returned to chassis. The new receivers, which is what we have, utilize a power transformer which isolates the AC from the chassis and connects a filament string in parallel. Looking at the tube layout, yeah, there's a 6BG6 and a damper and a vertical out 6AQ5. So yeah, this is a chassis that we have. And there's a layout of it. Shows you where each tube goes, so I was correct in that. Here's a schematic, which is kind of the same thing that I have that I had printed out that you can't hardly read. So I'm assuming Sam's just printed this page as preliminary service data, they call it. Preliminary data. There are some voltage readings here on the tubes if you look real close. It says 255, minus 33. So that'll help if we need to do some troubleshooting. Unfortunately, we don't have a parts layout diagram or a picture of the underneath the chassis that shows all the caps and resistors like Sam's does. So that's going to make it a little tougher. As we change the caps especially, we'll just have to do them one at a time and make sure we have the right value based on the reading on the cap, and we can look at the schematic just to confirm also. Hopefully this will help. I made me a chart here of the three main electrolytics. These three, there's one, two, and there's one behind it. The second one was the one that had leaked out that we bridged three of the sections in to get the set to come on. So I think I'm going to concentrate on these electrolytics first. At least change these four, because that was the one that had leaked out. And that'll get us back to where we were when we had the display and the set did come on. And then we can address these if need be. They seem to be working whenever we had the set on, but we'll make sure. Kind of a cheat sheet that I made to where we put the correct values in each section. Because these are twist locks, these are really hard to get out. Those two, no, but this one here is twisted and has connection to it, and this one is twisted and soldered to the chassis. So those are really hard to get out. So I'm going to leave the caps in and just disconnect them underneath. And we'll go with a terminal strip right here. And we'll put our four caps on that terminal strip and then just transfer the wires over to the strip. All right, I have the four on the terminal strip. That's this one here. So we got it. These are the original values, 15, 15, 80, and 40. I used 22s for the first two, so we got, and I marked them here. So we got a 22, 22. This is an 82, that tall one. And the last one is a 40. That's a 47. Ground terminals right here on all four. And terminal strip mounted. And it is above the chassis. Not by much, but it's enough to where it won't hit. Okay. All four hooked up. This resistor, it just replaces this one, which went to the D section to ground. It's 680 ohm. So why not just put it here from D to ground. And then we did run us a ground wire back over to the chassis. That's this black wire right here. Get rid of this resistor that goes to ground. Okay, I have my meter on the 350 source, which is section A of that cap I just changed. And yes, we are where we were before when I had those bridged in. So looks like we're okay there. Done some voltage checks, and this is C38. No leakage on any four of these. DC voltages are where they're supposed to be, no leakage. But the one that's hidden, of course, while it's working, we've got about 12 volts of AC leakage on all the terminals. And after leaving it set on for a few minutes, that cap's getting warm. And I'll admit, Sam's photo fact has me spoiled, because they typically will have a picture of the underneath the chassis, the top of the chassis, with all the resistor and cap symbols. You can easily find a cap. You can go to the parts list and find the value pretty fast, changing the caps, paper caps. Not on this set. This is all we have. It's just a schematic. I'll take them one at a time. So I think I'm going to get into that. We'll start down here, deflection. This is vertical and horizontal for the most part. We'll start changing these. Here's my method I'm going to use. When I change a paper cap, I'm going to identify where it's at in the circuit. Confirm that it's the correct value, the one I found, and make sure it's hooked up correctly. And then once I change it, I'm going to take this copy of the schematic that I made and I'm going to highlight it on this copy. That way I'll know which ones have been changed. And I won't be writing on this original service literature. Here's what I mean by my method. We'll start with this one. That goes to pin 3 of the damper tube. And if we look over here on pin 3, 0.22. So red, red, yellow. I can't tell that. I'm not good at reading these old caps the way that they're marked. But I know it goes to pin 3, so it has to be that 0.22. It's the only cap going to pin 3. I'll mark it here with a highlighter. I just go through one at a time. Turn the set on every time after I change one. And keep on going. Well, just a little progress. Still not enough vertical height. Pretty much finished with all the paper caps. Really overall, I even went ahead and changed a few up here in the vertical there and the height and the linearity circuit. So we do have sound, but the horizontal is way off frequency. Well, that's going to do it for part 2. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in part 3. We hope you've enjoyed the video. And if you did, how about giving us a like and subscribe to our channel? Thanks.